Hi, everybody. I wanted to introduce a few tools today that are going to enable um, a new approach to how we do outreach as a community. Obviously, there are going to be challenges this year. We're either remote teaching or we're here at school, but we all have remote learners, and all of our learners are never going to be here at one time, which obviously brings a new level of challenge to what we do every day. But the ultimate goal is to not lose anyone. And that's, I think, a common struggle we all have every year. So, in that way, we're kind of used to trying to keep people engaged and try to find new strategies. So, over the summer, a couple of the teams got together and came up with a few strategies that we've been able to kind of develop into one system that will hopefully facilitate increased engagement. But my goal was also that I could come up with a tool that would help you really keep all this information in one place. So the concept of learner sites and a teacher site kind of came out of all the discussions that all the teams had this summer. And all there's going to be so many new things thrown at us this week in terms of new approaches and new strategies that we're trying. And what you need to understand about the Billtown Educator Management page that we're all going to have access to, and then the student sites, the individual learner sites, is that these are just containers to facilitate all the approaches we've been doing for a long time, like pathway education, along with making core reporting kind of the focus of what we're trying to do in our competency-based learning approach as that evolves, and now being able to clearly give feedback on behaviors, and then also have access to interventions in a common way that the students and learners are aware of. This is a lot of stuff that's getting thrown at us, but hopefully the educator management page will pull it all together for you and help you understand the student dashboard approach, and how it's not going to be a huge burden or inconvenience, but hopefully it's going to help you and give you the tools that you need to keep all your learners engaged. So let's start with the first thing, the most important thing that we can do is give students a common way to check in with us. And so right here, you see the example of a learner site. I'll just kind of scroll down. And right now, I just want to focus on this button right here, because when you talk to your students about their learner site, and the idea is that every single student, K through 12, would have them. At pre-K will be a little bit different, and we'll have that conversation later. But their daily check-in is here. And that's if they're a remote learner, if they're in group 1 or A or B. So every student will have the same expectation, and that's every day by 10 a.m. they will do their daily check-in. So I'll walk through that process with you and show you what it looks like. So they'll choose their grade. I'll choose admin because it's really easy for me to add data that way. Um, and Shirley is my template work for all of this. So if you're wondering who the heck that is, it's just a template. And then they choose present or absent. Now, obviously, if they're here in the building, they're present, right? But if they're a remote learner and for some reason they're absent, they're going to the doctor, their parent is calling in for them, then they have the option to choose absent. The goal is that no matter whether the learners are going to be present or absent that day, they would log in and they would check that one of these two options no matter what. So Anne's going to be present today. So as a teacher, how does this benefit me? Well, on your Billtown Educate Teacher Management portal, you'll just go over to Teacher Tools Access. You'll scroll down, and the very first box that you're going to see load here is the check-in portal responses. So there's Anne Shirley that I just saw that. So this isn't the page you're going to look at because this is very confusing and all the names are going to be scattered everywhere. But that's just kind of an overall place where the data goes. But let's say I am a senior sponsor and I'm responsible for the senior attendance. Every day you just click 2021 and everyone who checked in will populate this that day and you'll be able to use that spreadsheet. It's not going to be a long, crazy spreadsheet. It will repopulate every day with the new responses. You will use this as your Skyward. So then you can now go to Skyward and you can mark who's present and who's absent that way. This goes all the way down to kindergarten. So this is just a common way for no matter what type of learner it is, they report here to make this easy for you to then put that into Skyward by 10 a.m. every day. Now, it's really important that we help the students understand that they really have to check in every day. It's not negotiable. And so there's going to be a learning curve here with some of our younger students and our families. So this is an easy way if, let's say we have a kindergarten family that's keeping their student at home, we really need to let the parents know about this daily check-in so that they make sure they're still communicating with us about their learner status. And maybe that student will get to the point where they can do it themselves and that will increase their digital literacy skills. That's the goal. But it's really important that everybody across the board use this daily check-in because that will make our lives much easier in understanding who is present and who is not, whether they're a remote learner, they're an A and it's a B day, or they're a B and it's an A day. So that's tool number one that will hopefully be very, very helpful to you moving forward. The purpose of these sites is a container, like I said. So a new aspect of what we're trying to do is increase student engagement despite their learning environment. So, our remote learners have an extra responsibility this year to help, to keep engaged in learning even though they're not with us every day. So we felt it could be really beneficial to help students keep track of their behaviors. So if we go over to their behavior progress, this is how their behaviors will be reported. Um, Down here on each learner site, they'll have embedded a dashboard. And a few things that you'll notice about this dashboard while looking at it, we have the scale over here. We have 3 different charts. We have an overall performance grade. And because that's a 3, meaning it's in between the 2.4 to 3.4, then that translates into their traditional letter grade for their behaviors. Now, Parker isn't going to keep this B. This is just an example. But if we go over to my template and look at kind of the fake data here, then you can see what those charts are going to look like. And I think what's especially useful here are these trend lines, these lighter color lines right here. So you can see our student here is trending up in preparedness and trending kind of straight across. So not going down, not really going up, but we'd want to keep an eye on this competency responsibility. And there's kind of a slight, gonna be a slight, kind of a slight trend down there, and then kind of a slight trend up here. So if I was a teacher, I'd be interested in this one the most, and I might even use the WGC campaign to assign this student some type of intervention, whether that's a challenge, a reading challenge, or maybe something that falls in line with responsibility. So maybe if they're an older teacher, or sorry, older learner, maybe meeting with a younger student each week to read to them or something like that, something safe that, respects the current conditions that we're in. But you can look at that WGC material and kind of understand what intervention might correspond with this competency. Now, I'm not going to go into the competencies right now because that will be a separate conversation about how you know how to report and what competencies these are. And what skills are under each competency. And that's going to be really up to each team, like elementary, middle, and high, to kind of look at the skills the way that you understand them now, and kind of make sure the rubric is in line with the way that you've been reporting in the past. And we'll have that discussion later. But that's just a look at how the student will see their Billtown behavior dashboard. And if you scroll up, you'll see that they actually have space here to edit this site. And if you never worked with Google Sites, there's, an editor. And essentially, if Parker wanted to, set some goals or talk about a moment where he felt he improved or he really, engage in a different way than he usually does, he could do that at kind of a metacognitive practice to help our learners stay engaged and set new goals for how they're engaging in their work this year, no matter if they're at school or not. And it is an easy way to give them feedback that's dynamic on a regular basis about how they're doing with engagement, with these competencies to support their academic learning. Okay, so if we go over to the educator portal, just a quick note on reporting, you'll note that on your educator portal, you kind of have a corresponding page to every page on the learner site. So for the Billtown behavior progress, you also have a Billtown behavior reporting. You'll see on this behavior reporting that the rubric is embedded into this page, so it's there for you. This is the language I was talking about that will need refined according to the teams. So elementary especially is already an expert in this because they report on this all the time. So they'll just take what they normally do because we made this model in line with the ISB goals already, and then they'll just refine the language to be in line with how they already report. And if we scroll down, again, you just choose the grade level you're reporting for. I'll click admin. It will be populated with the right students, in our cases, Anne Shirley, and then I can just contribute to the data really easily. And this is kind of a performance. So this isn't really formative. So, maybe on a weekly basis, you would want to report in on how they've done overall or in a specific task that you told them about. And maybe Anne went down. She got a little lippy there with me this week. We submit, and then there we go. The data is over in Anne's behavior, and we see that it did impact that dashboard. And we can go into all day long about how these dashboards work, but we'll save that for a later time for the sake of time. Okay, next, the most important thing that the students will use this for, besides behavior progress this quarter and checking in, is the WGC, which is the Williams Field Growth Campaign. So here on their front page, they'll have a house point leaderboard where they'll be able to see where their team is ranking. I've been practicing just to make sure that it works. So we do see some points on the board. Those won't be there when school starts. Right here, they'll see points that they've contributed to their team, and they'll be able to format this space. I've included some instructions however they want it, so they can move things around, add a picture of their house team. They can also upload their badges that you give them as rewards, and we'll talk more about that WGC and the outreach program when we talk about the WGC. But these are their tools for the WGC, and this is how they understand where they're at for their team, how they're doing for their team. This is absolutely going hand in hand with this Billtown behavior progress, because as you monitor their behaviors, you can, give them incentives and challenges and adventures to do so that they can earn teams to increase this engagement when you, especially when you see some of these competencies trending down. So these go hand in hand, and that's what their site looks like. Adversely, you have, it's not actually adversely, it would be in tandem with, you have a growth campaign sheet with all the information that you need to access about the growth campaign. It's all here for you. And then you have the house points reporting portal. So it works the same way. Choose the grade, choose the student, and assign the points, which I'm sure Mr. Binder is going to tell you more about as we move forward, along with Katie. So the Billtown literacy is something you don't really need to worry about right now. We're still in progress with that one. But one thing that I will tell you about is this teacher tools access page. I think that this is a great page because we can build this page together as we want. So as you find tools that you think will be helpful for our teaching community, we can make this page dynamic and we can add those tools to this page. So I've added just what the learner sites are about. There's a slideshow there with lots of links to help you have those tools right at your fingertips. Workflow for the growth campaign and workflow for reporting behaviors. So if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much, it's overwhelming, and I totally get that, you can just come here to your teacher tools, go to the workflow slides, go through those presentations. They're just about 5 slides long, but they include links to what you need. They include information, explanation, so that can support you in this experience as we make this transition. And finally, I just put some other tools on here using Flipgrid in your Canvas courses, how we duplicate learner sites if you have a new student, and then we can keep adding tools. So if you've got a good tool and you want it on this page, all you have to do is send it to me and I'm happy to put it on this page for everyone to access. Overall, I think this will be a pretty dynamic approach to giving students feedback, to helping them stay engaged. And there's going to be lots more to learn, but I think it really just boils down to progress monitoring with behaviors and then assigning students interventions via challenges, the gamified interventions as you feel that you need. You can do all of that from the comfort of your Billtown Educator Management page, and then your student will see the outcome of that data on their site. So I hope this short presentation helped you understand where we're going with this. It's going to hopefully just keep getting better and better. Please bear with us during the first week. There are going to be technical issues, so communicate those issues as they come up and help your students learn to use their sites and to stay engaged with the sites. And don't give up on it, even though I know struggles will arise, because this is just going to be a great way for everybody to stay connected.